True crime story of how they were caught. Karen Pannell's boyfriend, Tim, couldn't reach her over the phone, so he went over to her apartment, saw the door ajar, went inside, found her covered in blood. Police saw a pizza box and receipt of delivery at 8:48 p.m. the night prior. Slices of pizza were missing, but an autopsy showed that Karen didn't have any pizza in her stomach. There was blood on her right fingers, and it appeared she wrote the letters ROC on the wall. Karen had an ex-boyfriend named Rock, and police interviewed him, but he had a solid alibi, and he was ruled out. Karen's autopsy would show that she most likely had a severed spinal column and was paralyzed, and most likely couldn't have written those letters on the wall. Furthermore, she was left-handed, but the blood was on her right hand. Police now believe someone staged the incident and tried to blame Rock. Police also found skin cells underneath Karen's fingernails, which suggested she scratched the suspect, but they couldn't get a DNA profile. Police learned Karen had been dating other men, but they were each ruled out and had solid alibis. Police got a break when they learned that Karen had actually recently broken up with Tim, the man who called 911, and found out that he'd been snooping around her place and found a used condom suggesting she had been with another man. Police learned Karen broke off the relationship with Tim when she found out he was a felon and had served a 12-year sentence in Florida. Tim had been involved in an illegal escort service and shot a rival. Police decided to look further at Tim's alibi when they knew Karen was most likely killed around 9 p.m. Phone records would show a phone call made by Tim had pinged off the cell towers near Karen's neighborhood at 9:32 p.m., which meant he wasn't at the cabin at that time. Forensics would use ninhydrin to get prints off the pizza box that matched back to Tim. With the DNA under Karen's fingernails, they tried a new test called STYR that only looked for male profiles. Well, that profile came back to match Tim. Police believe Tim went over that night to Karen's apartment, and they got into an argument, and Karen would end up scratching Tim, and Tim would stab Karen. They believe Tim then ate some pizza while figuring out a plan. Blood spatter had already dried on the walls, but Tim would put the letters ROC on the wall to blame Rock. But he had forgotten that Karen was left-handed. He then made a phone call to a friend that bounced off the cell towers. He would then come back the next morning and call 911. Tim would later be charged